There. Which is the longer line? Where is the longer line there? The longest line?
Closest to the left.
Closest to the left. Now, and the longest line is, yes, the one on the left, but the longest line is called the hypotenuse. Now, we know where the longest line is because it's always opposite to this angle, this 90 degrees. It's always, if the angle is in here, the longest line is there. And that's called the hypotenuse. So the term there is hypotenuse. And we call this one yesterday the line C, right? Now this one, I'm going to call them as the line H, right? This is H. Now this one we call yesterday as A, and this is we call yesterday as B. Now here's the question, is if, I'm going to write it in here, if we have the longest line, if I give you the longest line and one of the shorter side, I want you to calculate one of the sides. Now, so if I would say this line here, if H is 10 centimeters, that's 10, and this side here, this side here is 6 centimeters. What is B? So we're doing it the other way around, as one of you said, told me yesterday. So here B is question mark, but A is 6 centimeters. How shall I start this? Can anybody say, how shall I start this? Thank you. Now, I can see that some of you have already noticed this, but I just want to go through the sequence of questions, the sequence of steps. So here, you always write the formula. And in one of the homeworks, the formula wasn't written. Yes? So, we always write the formula, which is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, because we call this H, we basically substitute it's A squared plus B squared plus H equals H squared. Now, we are going to substitute the value of H in here, right? The H is 10. Now, A is 6 squared. And then we say the value 6 squared is 36 plus B squared equals 10 squared, which is 100. Now this is where the algebra comes. How do we get rid of 36? We take it away. Minus 36 in here. What we do to one side, we do to another side. There you go. So this one is essentially 0. We bring down B squared. 100 less 36 is 64. And this is where the missing a step for some of you. And I know that some of you do it in your head, but I'd like you to write it. Is we say that what number do you multiply by itself to get 64, which is B is the square root. What is the square root of 64? And the answer is 8. Now, this is also one thing that's missing. When you do that, you have to write the unit. You have to write 8 centimeters. And that's your answer. Are there any questions with that?
Wait, I can't quite see the board. Is it underneath the B squared equals 64? What's underneath
Oh yes, b squared is 64. Yes, and you just say square root of 64 is b. Yeah, b is square root of 64. That's really the step. This one here is essentially saying what number do you multiply by itself that will answer 64. And so that's b is equal to 8. This is the step that's missing really to almost all of you. So I want you to write that sequence. Okay. Are there any questions? Because if we were in the classroom, I probably will not teach you this. I'll just give you, I'll just say work it out. Yes, because we've done it, so the techniques are there. It's the same. But we're online and it's difficult to do that. Okay. Are there any questions? Shall I give you the questions that you need to solve?
Yeah.
Because this is like the second type of question. So, let me just look at it. Now this is where the angle is. Now this is h, this is the hypotenuse, and this is 37 mm. Now this is the B side, and this is 35 mm. Now what is this side? What is A? Now I want to say this in a word, because here I'm looking at the figure. I would then say, if I have a right angle triangle and the side opposite the right angle triangle is 37 mm and one of the shorter side is 35 mm, what is the missing side? That's basically how I'd like to write that. That's a word problem. Okay, that's question number 1. Question number 2, right, is if, I'm not going to draw this, if H is 41 mm and A is 40 mm, find the missing side. Find the missing side. Last question. If the hypotenuse, the longest side, is 85 centimeters, and the other side, the B side, is 84 centimeters, what is the missing side? Are there any questions with that? Now, the secret brotherhood, the Pythagoreans, they were a lot of people who were attracted to this group because they suddenly realized that they are so disciplined in how they speak and how they think. And because they have this practice of active silence, that you are required to be silent for 5 years before you become a member of the brotherhood, they are basically being trained on to say less than what you think. If you ever say something, yeah, you have thought about it really, really well. And there are stories that there are people who wanted to join in and were not accepted. Not accepted at all. They were rejected. They did not become a member. And it is famously written that one of the people who wanted to join but could not is by the name of Kylan, and he was a son of a very wealthy family, and he hated to be rejected. He hated it. And so he wanted to really know what these people were thinking. And so what he did is he was trying to kidnap, yeah, some members of the brotherhood, the Pythagorean brotherhood. And so as a group of them were wandering, and he sent a group of people, yeah, to get them. But of course they ran away. But these members were trapped, yeah, were trapped in a field of beans. And because part of their habit is that they cannot trample on beans, they cannot step on the beans, because there might be souls there that have lived. There might be souls there that have lived before, and so they don't want to trample on the beans. And so, and because of that, right? And because of that, they were essentially killed, yeah, by the soldiers who were supposed to be just kidnapping them. And so this is like kind of a story that that became legendary. Now, however, there were also people who later on managed to divulge some of the secrets of this brotherhood. And I'll give you an example maybe next week, but when they were divulged, they were punished. So it's really kind of a very enigmatic brotherhood, and there's so many stories about them. Okay, are there any more questions? Otherwise, I don't want to chat here. Is there anything else?